as we speaking once again, Yaakov, to the precise intelligence that Israel still has in that part of the region.
It's a phenomenal degree of intelligence. I mean, we saw this, from all the way back from Operation Northern Arrows back in 2024, the elimination of Nasrallah in his bunker, the beeper operations. And since then, since the ceasefire, which Hezbollah has violated every single day, we have seen phenomenal intelligence gathering by the IDF military intelligence, by the Northern Command, shared with the Air Force, and basically marrying precise intelligence to precise firepower. This is the recipe. This is the operational recipe, is when that intelligence real time is matched with the precise firepower and the ability to put those things together. This is what gives Israel the operational edge against this asymmetric enemy that hides in homes, hides in villages, tries to surround itself with human shields, builds a civilian society around its jihadist army. Those tactics aren't working for it. Israel has figured out how to degrade this threat, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Let's also remember that 50 villages, that's a really big number, have been ordered to evacuate in southern Lebanon. So I think that evacuation is telling us where this is going.
No doubt there are going to be many developments coming up in the coming hours and days. Very briefly, the IDF and the Israeli Air Force's ability to handle both these fronts developing at this pace, as we've been discussing in studio right now, so many developments just in the last hour or two. Can the IDF and the IAF handle this, and for how much longer, realistically?
Yeah, this is now become a two-arena conflict. I think it absolutely can handle it. There's going to be a division of labor here. The priority will remain Iran, in my estimation. Iran is still the head of the tentacle, and anything that can be done to use this opportunity now that the Israeli Air Force has air superiority to degrade capabilities for years to come will be prioritized. But there are enough aircraft and potentially ground forces, we don't know yet about that, we have to watch that, to deal with Hezbollah as well. Hezbollah is weaker than it was on the eve of October 7th, 2023. It's no longer positioned in masses on the border, on the southern border. Nobody has to evacuate the northern areas, and Hezbollah can be dealt with the available resources. And the Gaza arena is not part of this. So we're looking at two arenas. The IDF can absolutely fight a two-arena war, especially when most of that combat is aerial at the end of the day.
Security analyst Yaakov Lapin, always appreciate your insights on this rapidly developing situation. IDF announcing a short while ago a new wave of airstrikes on regime targets in Tehran. What details are you learning? What are you expecting? What is your assessment?
Well, it looks like this is a continuation of the ongoing Israeli strikes. It's really a continuous sort of wave where the Israeli Air Force jets have divided themselves into shifts, and there's always a squadron, a formation over the skies of Iran striking targets. Now, what kind of targets are they going after? There's a wide variety of targets here. First and foremost, missile launchers. We're seeing the effect of this now, the accumulating effect. We're seeing a decrease in the frequency and the scope of Iranian missile attacks. The danger has not passed. They will still try and fire missiles at Israel, but it's unmistakable that today we saw a decrease, and that's not a coincidence. That is a direct result of these continuous Israeli strikes. Other targets include regime, command and control, IRGC, all of the nodes of power of the regime. And of course, the IDF wants to destabilize this regime, and it wants to use this opportunity to degrade as much as possible its offensive missile capabilities, its ability to produce these missiles. The commanders, we had a factory that creates anti-tank missiles that were smuggled to Hezbollah, hit every possible node of the Iranian strategy to destroy Israel, whether through missiles, through the proxy program. The nuclear program, it's interesting, we haven't heard much information about strikes directly on there. There have been sites tied to the nuclear program that have been targeted, but the big three sites, we haven't heard yet about direct strikes. And that's probably because, first of all, some of those sites are heavily degraded and have not been repaired, but some have been hardened, and we have to look out for those. What will happen in Natanz and Fordat. We have heard of strikes in the Isfahan area, so we need to understand what was targeted there. That's still not clear, but the priority is missiles and regime and IRGC. That's the Israeli priority, and the United States is, pursuing its targets, also IRGC, naval capabilities, etc. So we're seeing continuous degradation. Both air forces, both air assets, the American and the Israeli, have air superiority over much of Iran right now. They're uncontested. This is a very bad situation for the Iranian regime.
At the same time, as you well know, Hezbollah joining the fray overnight. And just a short while ago, you may have heard us discussing here in studio the fact that villages in southern Lebanon have been asked to evacuate. We are now learning the expected target is Hezbollah's Al-Manar TV building in Beirut's Dahia suburb. The significance of this and the warning from the IDF ahead of its expected strikes. Tell us more.
Well, we're certainly seeing strikes on what we can only call sort of enemy media. We also saw this in Iran. By the way, there was just a warning issued to the Iranian broadcasting campus in the Evan neighborhood of Tehran. And now we're hearing what you've just updated. So look, these are channels that incite. They're part of the propaganda network, which is designed to spread the message that incites jihadists to try and destroy Israel. They're going to be targeted as well. We saw this happening in previous escalations as well. So that doesn't surprise me. But the main effort is going to be the firing capabilities of Hezbollah. We've already seen dozens of these rocket launch sites and rocket storage sites targeted throughout Lebanon. Terrorists, a senior intelligence operative of Hezbollah struck and killed in Dahia. I think that Hezbollah, now that it has joined this war, even if it made in its own perception a minor intervention with 5 to 6 rockets, Israel no longer distinguishes between that and 60 or 600 rockets. If you endanger civilians by firing on Haifa, you're going to be paying a very heavy price, and that's what defense officials have made clear. So stay tuned to what's happening in Lebanon, because I think we're going to see very significant Israeli operations taking the opportunity, now that Hezbollah has joined this conflict, to remove many of Hezbollah's capabilities, the things that the Lebanese armed forces were either unwilling or unable to do, Israel is now going to do.
The IDF eliminating the commander of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the Lebanon sector in Beirut. That's come through just moments ago. Abu Hamza Rami, that development coming through as we speak.
Let's turn now to our security analyst, Yaakov Lapin, who's joining us on Zoom. So Hezbollah is now openly calling its attacks revenge. They've launched multiple waves of drones and rockets, not just last night. The fact that we saw another wave certainly is sending a message. But from a military standpoint, does this mark a full entry into war, or is Hezbollah still calibrating its involvement? And does that even matter to Israel?
That's a good question, because the two answers are not the same. So this is definitely a decision by Hezbollah to enter the war, but what they're trying to do by firing a limited number of projectiles overnight in two separate waves of attacks on the Haifa area is they appear to have sort of tried to signal their solidarity with their sponsors, the Islamic Republic, after the elimination of Ayatollah Khamenei, who they consider not just to be their leader, but to the holy leader. But they haven't unleashed a fraction of their existing arsenal, which is greatly reduced, but still obviously much bigger than the few rockets that they fired. So they're trying to force Israel to accept this sort of equation. If they do a sort of a tit for tat, they hope that Israel is going to respond in a minor way. Listening to defense officials speaking today and already watching the Israeli action, that's not what's going to happen. Israel is saying very clearly and explicitly, it is done with equations. Anybody who fires on the biggest city in northern Israel, on Haifa, should expect significant and massive retaliation. We already saw strikes in Dahia. We've seen 50 villages, which is a huge amount, being evacuated, being called on to evacuate by the IDF earlier today. And I think that As a defense official said this morning, Hezbollah just entered a fight that it cannot win.
We're also hearing that a drone likely struck a British base in Cyprus that was launched by Hezbollah. How can we expect the European Union to respond to this, Cyprus to respond to this? Because, again, this is Lebanon, who has been vowing that they're going to, of course, strip the Hezbollah terror group of its weapons. They say that they have already done that almost to full extent in the south. Clearly, that's not the actual reality.
Definitely not the reality. And whatever their intentions are, the Lebanese government, and I think their intentions are actually good. They don't want Hezbollah to run their country anymore as an Iranian outpost. The Lebanese armed forces, 50% of which is made up of Shiite soldiers and officers who come from the same villages as Hezbollah, is totally incapable of disarming Hezbollah. And we saw that what they were doing was mostly a show for the past year, entering villages, but not going into homes and bunkers where the arms are actually being stored. So it's up to the IDF. Mm-hmm. And regarding, the drone launch at Cyprus, this actually follows on an Iranian attack on Cyprus as well, which apparently missed. So we're seeing this is the first time that the Iranian Shiite terror axis is targeting a European Union member. So here we have, what Israel has been warning about from the beginning. This is not just an Israeli problem. This is going to end up threatening Europe. Here, right. It's beginning. Look, at the end of the day, I think, if anybody had any doubt that Iran is a global menace and its various tentacles and proxies, look at everything that's been going on: Cyprus, Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and they're going after commercial targets, civilian targets, trying to terrorize and intimidate everybody who they think could be cooperating with the U.S. and Israel. This is a terror state in every sense of the word, as well as its tentacles.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Yaakov.